Hey, I'm here for this week's Thirsty Thursday call. So give me just a second to get everything pulled up so I can see what's happening. Where am I? Here. Yay! Okay, so I'm live on Facebook. I'm going to make sure I can see everything over here too. Okay, cool. Yay! Okay, today's call I'm really excited about. So I'm going to be talking about... I'm going to be talking about being fully transparent in your business and like sharing your actual real self and experiences. I called it OKTOBERFEST and openness. Really, I'm going to be talking about being transparent though, and like what types of things are good to share with your audience and kind of why you should share those types of things. So if you're watching live, make sure and say hi so I know that you're here. And if you are watching the replay, put like hashtag replay or say hi in replay or something so I know that you're watching, and let me know if you have any questions throughout. Just like interrupt me with questions or comments or anything you got. Cool? So I'm going to dive in. So the first thing on my list is why being open and transparent in your business even matters in the first place. So when we're talking about building a brand, we have to remember that people connect with us on a human level, right? So that's the difference between having like a really relatable personal brand and having like a corporate BS brand that people can't relate to. So it's all about the way that you communicate with your audience and the way that people relate to you, right? So being open and transparent allows people to get to know you better and to get to know the real you, right? So people want to do business with other people, not businesses, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So being fully transparent about your journey and your story and how you got to where you are is going to allow them to connect with you on that deep emotional level, which is where people make decisions, right? People don't make decisions logically. They make decisions with their emotions. So you want to make those connections. You want to have those deeper connections. So when we're talking about like what does that mean? Like I'm sure that you hear that stuff all the time, honestly. Everybody talks about being transparent in your business. And it can mean a couple different things. It can mean, exactly what it sounds like being honest, don't lie. Obviously that's important. Be truthful in your marketing. But what I'm talking about is being fully you and being like putting all of yourself out there so that they can get to know you. So I'm talking about like very specific experiences that led you to where you are. And like when we're talking about our ideal client, if you haven't watched the past videos where we talk about ideal clients, which I know there's one specific one that's dedicated to that, but pretty much all of them talk about our ideal clients because that's a big part of our journey here with branding. So understanding who your ideal client is, and most of the time, our ideal client is like a past version of ourself, right? Like at least for me, it is. I'm talking to an audience who is in the same situation usually that I was in. Like you're in a 9-to-5 job and you don't really want to be there. You want to get out. You want to do your own thing. You don't want to. I don't like people telling me what to do. I just want to make my own rules. So telling stories like that and being transparent about that and talking about my experiences when I was in that situation is really important. Because that creates that connection like, okay, I'm not just saying, I get it, I've been there, because every single person on the internet says that when they're trying to sell you something, right? They're like, hey, I understand you, I get it, I've been there. And I'm sure that they have, but that phrase doesn't have any meaning, right? So we want to be fully engaged and transparent about our experiences and how, like, talking about how me sitting in that cube dreading every single day driving there and sitting in traffic and watching Netflix in the car on my lunch break because it was too far to go home and like spending lunch breaks and nights, working on my business to try to get where I want to be. That's a more relatable story. That's something that someone can connect with and get to know who I am faster and understand, at the same time that they're getting to know me and my personality, they're also seeing, okay, this person's where I was and now they're where I want to be, and they have a similar story to me, so it makes it more realistic for them in their mind, right? So it's creating that connection on two levels, which is super important. So the next thing I want to talk about, and again, interrupt me if you have any questions, okay? But the next thing I want to talk about is like what types of things you should share. So I just talked about like story and personal experiences and obvious, stuff like that. But the types of things are like personal and relatable, but not whiny, right? So, and that's kind of where the line gets crossed sometimes. The line kind of gets crossed when we're trying to be real and we're trying to talk about our journey, but it can come across as kind of like whiny or like we don't have our shit together. We don't know, we're not an expert. So that's what we want to be really careful of. So it's totally okay to share, past fuck ups. I do it all the time. Like, I just sent out an email a few weeks ago, like ways I effed up in my business. And stuff like that is totally fine as long as you're telling the story in terms of like the transformation that happened. So here's what I did at the beginning. Here's how I effed up. Here's the turning point where I learned something, and here's how I came out on the other side. So if you want to share a story like that, just make sure you're presenting it in a way that still establishes you as the expert that you are, right? So and maybe it's too early to tell that story. Like maybe you haven't quite made it to the other side yet, but still write that shit down. Like you're in it in like silver lining, guys. You know that this is a shit situation, but someday this is going to make a damn good story. So I actually did that. I remember sitting in my car on my lunch break. I was like, I'm going to write down the exact words that I'm feeling right now because I know this is going to help someone someday when I'm able to talk about it. So no matter which place you're in, you have a story to tell that's going to relate to your audience. Always, always, always. It breaks my heart when people are like, oh, I'm not different than everyone else. I'm not interesting. My story's boring, or my story's the same as everyone else's story. No, not true. Even if the exact same experience happened to everyone else in your world, their perception of the event is not the same as yours. So telling the way that you experience things and letting people get to know how your mind works and how you process information and how you present information, that's what's going to attract those clients. Cool? So just be really, really careful. And that was kind of the next point on my list, like how much is too much. So that can be too much. So anything that makes you sound not like an expert. Now, but you still want to be relatable. So anything that makes you relatable, like I'm a super introvert and I share a lot of stuff about that because a lot of my audience, again, remember they're like past versions of me, right? So a lot of my audience shares that and they're like scared to get on video and they're afraid to like open up and show everybody what's inside, right? So I share a lot about that and how I, had to drink a half a bottle of Jameson to get through the first video I ever did. But now you wouldn't even be able to tell that I used to be terrified of it. So stuff like that makes you like relatable, an actual human person. Because a lot of times when we're putting out marketing stuff that just says, oh, I'm going to help you build your business, or I'm going to help you convert more clients or close more clients, or whatever it is that you do, or maybe you're not in business, like maybe you help people plan parties or whatever it is, saying something different is what's going to help you stand out, right? That's the goal that we're all trying to achieve, is make ourselves stand out and make people see how we're different than everyone else in our industry. Make people understand why they should pick us without us having to say, hey, pick me, I'm better because blah, blah, blah. We want them to just immediately get it. And we want them to know before they ever even talk to us that this is my person, this is where I need to go, this is who I need to work with. So creating those strong connections right off the bat is really important. And this is the easiest way to do it, is just being fully open and transparent. So that one, or this, that's all I got for today. Like, I'm trying to keep these a little bit shorter because sometimes they've been going really long, and nobody's got time for that, right? So hopefully this was really helpful. I feel like there was a lot of good nuggets in there. So anybody watching the replay that has any questions, just let me know. And if you just joined late, go back and watch the beginning, because I talked a lot about, you know, how to make those connections and stuff. So yeah, that is Thirsty Thursday for this week. I will be back on Sunday for Spotlight Sunday with Tanya, and it's going to be at a different time this week. We're going to do it at 11 a.m. Central Time because Tanya is in South Africa. So it's going to be really fun. She's going to talk about like a financially abundant mindset or adjusting your mindset to accept financial abundance, I think is the name of her little presentation. So it's going to be awesome. I'm really, really excited for this one. So Sunday we'll be back. And again, in the meantime, if you have any questions, just type them in and I will pop back in and answer them. All right, everybody have a good night. I'm going to go finish my Oktoberfest. It's freaking delicious. All right, bye.